One of the enduring mysteries of the Second World War is the location of a lost Nazi gold train. It's believed by some that a train filled with gold and treasure was hidden by the Nazis in southwest Poland as the final days of the Third Reich came. It's believed that the train is full of paintings stolen during the conflict, jewellery and many other riches, but despite numerous searches nothing has turned up. However, there was a Nazi gold train that was found as World War II came to an end, and found on board was a huge amount of stolen property. So join us today as we look at the found Nazi gold train, and remember to support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. In March 1944, the tide of the war was turning against the Germans. The Soviet Red Army were beginning to advance and push the Germans back, and with this Hitler invaded Hungary, with the Soviets not too far away. The Hungarian government collaborated with the Nazis and instilled many elements of persecution onto the Jewish population, forcing them to hand over all of their valuables. Hungarian Jews were eventually deported to concentration camps, and most of them were murdered at places such as Auschwitz-Birkenau. The effect of the war on the Hungarian Jews was devastating, with hundreds of thousands exterminated. Their property that included jewellery, wedding rings, gems, and anything of value was confiscated en masse. Names were taken and receipts were allegedly issued and kept, but through resorting and collection, it became impossible to identify the sheer amount of property that was taken. Budapest was a city that saw a great deal of conflict, especially towards the end of the Second World War. It suffered greatly from British and American bombing raids, and towards the end of 1944, the Soviets were bearing down on the city, having pushed the Germans back further. The SS placed Arfad Toldi in charge of smuggling as much stolen Jewish property out of Hungary as possible, and to keep it out of the hands of the Soviets. Toldi then took a number of steps to try and get as much stolen wealth out of the city, and he came up with a plan to load as much as possible onto a large 46-carriage freight train. This shows you the sheer amount of property that was stolen. There would be a staff of over 200 on board the train, who would head from Hungary through Austria and back to Nazi Germany. There were on board 7 cars used to carry a group of miners, who were kept on board to, if anything went wrong, offload the valuables, dig holes and bury them in a large hole to hide them, and later then the gold could be retrieved. Also were over a dozen carriages which were used by soldiers from Germany and Hungary, who were tasked with guarding the train. A derailment situation was possible at the time, as the British and Americans made steps to bomb train lines, so if the train encountered any trouble, these soldiers would be tasked with protecting it. There were 24 carriages used to house the loot and stolen items, which shows how much was taken. There must have been millions of pounds worth of valuables on board the train. It's said that on the train was gold bars, jewellery, gemstones, pearls, watches, paintings, which were also taken, and even diamonds. Other luxuries included expensive porcelain, furniture pieces, clothes, cameras, stamp collections and foreign currency. By the end of December 1944, the train was ready to leave, and on board were Toldi and his family, and it began its journey before Christmas. It stopped first in a town, and Toldi then seized more gold and jewels from this town that had been kept in a nearby castle. The train continued and then stopped at other towns, where more gold and valuables were collected and placed on board. It then stopped for 92 days to count and catalogue the valuables near to the Austrian border, and it has been estimated in today's money that the train would hold property worth possibly around $2 billion in modern money. The train then began its journey west in spring 1945 again, but things were changing. The end of the war was coming, and Toldi, the leader on board, began to become paranoid. He believed the Soviets were hunting him and the train, and in a way to offload some stolen property, he even bartered some of the gold and jewellery with the staff on board. Toldi, with this paranoia, left the train with his family. They abandoned the train on the 30th of March 1945 as the train entered Austria, and the Soviets were only around 10 miles behind. He left his adjutant in charge of taking the train to its final destination, and Toldi and his family tried to enter Switzerland but were not allowed in. He then asked an SS officer and friend to help him, and Toldi bartered with the SS man, offering 4 crates of valuables for false passports. The train continued into Austria and stopped to offload some of the valuables to trucks, but these specific crates were lost to time and today their location is unknown, presumably stolen by German soldiers. The train then came to the town of Werfen, near to the Berchtesgaden Alps, where Hitler's eagle's nest was found and the Berghof was. The train never reached Germany in its intended destination, with it being seized by the Allies. The French first took control, and then handed over to the US Army. When the Americans took control, all of the staff on board were arrested and separated from the train, but a small number were asked to help unload. Emptied from the train were 1,500 crates containing the riches, as well as 5,200 pieces of furniture. The Hungarians knew that the train did not reach its intended destination, and repeatedly asked for the property to be returned, but the US continued to ignore the calls. The ownership of the goods was impossible to work out, and the US stated that the belongings were to be given to aid refugee organisations, but there was a significant amount of property stolen from the train. High-ranking generals and officers benefited from stolen wealth from the train, and some even had their homes furnished with the goods taken. Other soldiers looted smaller parts of the train, pocketing the goods and then selling them off. Lots of the riches were taken back to America and then auctioned, with millions of dollars of stolen gold ending up in America. Lots of the riches of the gold train also found themselves into private hands. The details of the Hungarian gold train were kept secret until 1998, and it was seen that the US did not correctly, and to a high standard, deal with the goods on board. The mishandling of assets was brought in front of a court, and a settlement of $25.5 million was reached, with various Jewish charities receiving much of the funding. Today, though, there are still many lost elements of the riches of the Nazi gold train. Lost are 200 paintings which were seized from the train, and many of these have a great cultural importance for Hungary, and their location today remains a mystery. The story of the Nazi gold train is not over, and in the future it's bound to emerge that more riches from on board this train have been found. Once again, thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.